When you face a parajumble, it's easy to assume the test is about vocabulary or literary flair. In reality, these are structural logic problems. They don't measure how many words you know. They measure your ability to identify the grammatical mechanics that hold a paragraph together. Beginners often try to juggle all 5 sentences in their heads at once, looking for an order that feels right. This relies on intuition rather than a repeatable system. The SAVD framework replaces intuition with mechanics. We start by scanning the text for valid starting points, then anchoring sentences into smaller pairs using markers like pronouns and articles. This breaks an intimidating block of text into predictable connections. To see this in action, let's look at 5 sentences describing the history of the microscope. Our first step is scanning for an opener. We set aside sentence 4 because it begins with the definite article, the, which usually follows a general introduction. Sentences 1, 3, and 5 are disqualified because they rely on phrases pointing back to previous information. But it took, it was not until, and ironically. That leaves sentence 2. While however is a contrast word, the rest of the sentence describes the ancient times of the microscope. In this specific set of data, this is the most foundational context. It establishes the basic principle of the tool before any specific 16th century inventions or 19th century refinements are mentioned. Identifying this starting point is mathematically decisive. With 5 sentences, there are 120 possible sequences. By locking in sentence 2 as the opener, you instantly reduce those possibilities to just 24. With the opener established, we move to the A in SAVE, anchoring mandatory pairs. These are 2 sentences that must go together because of a direct grammatical or chronological link. Look at sentence 4, which introduces the invention of the compound microscope in 1590.
Sentence 5 follows this naturally by identifying the specific man who built it, Zacharias Janssen. These 2 sentences form an inseparable chronological unit. Now, look at the remaining text. Use the provided timestamps to determine which sentence attaches to the end of our block. Sentence 1 mentions it took nearly 3 centuries for the tool to become standard. Simple math links this directly to the 1590 invention date in our previous block. Finally, sentence 3 brings us to the late 1800s, when the instrument was perfected, completing the timeline. This 19th century laboratory shows that 300-year evolution. The sheer volume of equipment highlights when the microscope moved from invention to a standard perfected tool. When sentences contain dates or durations, the paragraph's internal timeline will always dictate the flow. The sequence 2, 4, 5, 1, 3 moves logically from ancient principles to 19th century perfection. In a multiple choice setting, it's even faster. Since sentence 2 is the only valid opener, we immediately strike through any option not starting with it. Memorize these high-probability patterns, connect pronouns to their nouns, place indefinite articles before definite ones, and follow the chronological arrow. If you prioritize the structural mechanics of the text over the story it's telling, the correct order will reveal itself every time.